There is a village far from the noise of the cities, where the river is older than the people who live beside it. If you're listening tonight, tell me where you are in the world. In that village lived a woman named Amara. She was not the kind of person people could easily explain. She spoke when needed, worked like everyone else, and kept to herself most of the time. But there was something about her that made people watch her a little longer than usual. It was in the way she listened. When someone spoke, she didn't interrupt or rush to reply. She paid attention fully, as if she believed every word mattered. Some found it comforting. Others found it unsettling. Amara spent most of her days like everyone else, helping in the compound, going to the market, fetching water when needed. But in the evenings, she belonged somewhere else. Every day, as the sun began to set, she would take a narrow path leading away from the village. The path curved through tall grass and scattered trees, quiet enough that even footsteps seemed softer there. At the end of that path was the river. It wasn't wide or violent. It moved steadily, carving its way through the land with a kind of patience that made it feel older than anything around it. Amara always sat in the same place, a flat stone near the edge of the water. She would remove her sandals, place her feet into the river, and remain there until the sky darkened. At first, it was simply where she found peace. Over time, it became something more. People began to notice. "She goes there every evening," someone said. "Alone?" Another asked. "Always." There were quiet warnings at first. Nothing serious, just the kind of things people say when something feels slightly off. "Don't stay too long by the river. Not everything there belongs to us." Amara listened, but she didn't change her routine. The first time something unusual happened, it was easy to dismiss. She was sitting as usual, her feet in the water, watching the reflection of the sky shift as the sun disappeared. The surface of the river moved differently for a moment, as though something had disturbed it from below. She noticed it, but she didn't react. Rivers moved. That was what they did. The second time she heard something. It was faint, almost like a thought that didn't belong to her. Her name. She turned, expecting to see someone behind her. No one was there. The path was empty. The grass moved gently in the wind. She stayed where she was. The third time, there was no mistaking it. Amara. The voice came from the water, clear enough that she could not ignore it. She leaned forward slightly, her attention fixed on the surface. The river did not rush or swell. It didn't behave like something dangerous. Instead, it changed slowly, as though it was allowing something to rise. A shape formed. At first, it was only movement. Then it became clearer, a figure emerging from the water, steady and controlled. When he stood before her, he looked almost human, but not entirely. There was something in the way the light moved across him, something that made it clear he did not belong to the same world. Amara remained where she was. "You are not afraid," he said. His voice was calm, carrying the same quiet weight as the river itself. "I don't think you mean harm," she replied. He studied her for a moment, as though her answer mattered more than anything else. "My name is Obina," he said. "I am bound to this river." That was how it began. After that day, Amara returned as she always had. But now she was no longer alone. Obina did not appear every evening. Sometimes the river remained exactly as it had always been, offering nothing but its usual quiet presence. Other times he rose from the water and joined her. They spoke, but never in a hurried way. Their conversation stretched across time, moving slowly from one thought to another. He told her about the river, things no one else could have known. He spoke of years that had passed long before the village existed, of travelers who had once come and gone, of changes in the land that people had forgotten. Amara listened carefully, asking questions when she needed to. In return, she told him about the world beyond the river, about the market, about the people, about small moments that might have seemed unimportant to anyone else. To him, they weren't. As the weeks passed, something shifted between them. It wasn't sudden and it wasn't dramatic. It grew quietly in the spaces between their conversations. The village began to notice the change in Amara. She still did her work. She still greeted people when she saw them. But she carried herself differently now. More distant, some said. More peaceful, others thought. There was an older woman in the village who watched her closely. She had lived long enough to recognize when something was not ordinary. One evening she followed Amara. She stayed far enough away not to be seen, moving carefully along the path. When she reached the edge of the river, she hid behind the tall grass and watched. At first she saw nothing unusual. Amara sat as she always did. Then the water changed. The old woman froze. She watched as the figure rose from the river and stood before Amara. She did not wait to see more. By the time she returned to the village, she already knew what she would say. "They are spirits," she told the others, "and spirits do not belong in our lives." The warnings became stronger after that. "You must stop going there. This will not end well. You don't understand what you are dealing with." Amara listened to all of it. But she did not argue, and she did not stop. One evening, as the sky darkened and the first stars appeared, Obena spoke in a way he hadn't before. "There is something I have not told you," he said. Amara turned to him. "I am listening. There is a place within the river," he continued, "where my world and yours are not so far apart." She waited. "If you choose to come there, you can stay with me." The words were simple, but their meaning was not. "What happens if I do?" she asked. "You will leave this life behind." Amara didn't respond immediately. She looked out at the river, watching the slow movement of the water. Then she thought of the village, the people, the life she had always known. None of it felt wrong, but it no longer felt complete. "When?" she asked. "Whenever you are ready." That night she stayed longer than usual. The village had already gone quiet by the time she returned. She did not tell anyone what she had decided. The next evening she walked the path again. Everything felt the same as it always had. The grass, the trees, the sound of her footsteps. When she reached the river, Obena was already there. "You've chosen," he said. Yes, the river responded before anything else did. The surface shifted, not violently, but with purpose. A faint glow spread across the water, soft enough to be calming, but clear enough to be seen. Amara stepped closer. She did not hesitate. The water reached her feet, then her legs. It did not pull her under. It accepted her. By morning she was gone. The village searched for her. They followed the path. They called her name, but the river gave them nothing. Time passed. Life continued, as it always does. But the story remained. On certain nights when the air is still and the moon reflects clearly on the water, some say they have seen something beneath the surface. Two figures moving together, not lost, not trapped, just there, and the river continues to flow, carrying its secrets with it.